This is the One-Eye Guy's Laws to Leadership. Listen, after 29 years in the auto business, starting as a salesperson, rising to a managing partner by the time I was 34, I definitely understand a little bit about leadership. And what I mean by that is people say that failure is a wonderful teacher. I've got a couple PhDs in leadership. All the things that I failed at. The number one rule to leadership, at least in my book, is training. It was so important for me to have my people trained. I needed them to be trained. And I don't just mean sort of a little trained. I mean everything that came out of their mouth, I had already told them, expected them to say it, and then made them memorize it so they would say it. It was not a pretend thing. What was interesting is, of course, we all meet those who fight us and kick against the pricks and give us a hard time and don't want to do those things that we know are best for them, even though we've been doing it way longer and they may have just started. However, once I found this principle, it made it so much easier to explain to people. And I still can't remember where it came from, but about 20 years ago. And here's the idea, and I'll tell you kind of how I would set it up, is when I would hire people, and again, it didn't matter what role they were playing. This didn't have to be sales. This could be in any part in the dealership. We would literally bring them in, and I would divide them up. It was almost the very first thing that I would do after we said hi, is I would divide them up, and I would put them in two different rooms. And half the group would be on this side and the other half on the other side. And what I would do is I would say to this group, I'd say, hey, what I want you to do is write down what it looks like when somebody is lying to you. And I'd go to the other group and I'd say, hey, do me a favor, write down what it looks like when somebody is nervous. And then I'd bring both the groups back together and I'd say, hey, go put your answers up on the board, but don't say anything about the question. They'd put their answers up on the board, and I bet you can guess already. The answers were the same. When somebody lies to you, when somebody's nervous, it all looks the same. And so then I would say, hey, what was the question? And somebody would say, well, what does it look like when somebody lies to you? And then the other team, and what does it look like when somebody's nervous? And this little light would go on their head, like, oh, right. If you don't train, if you don't have a Oscar award-winning script from the very beginning to the very end, not just a close, guys, everything that comes out of your team's mouth has to already been determined. I know that sounds like a big job, but there is no bigger job. You need to determine what's coming out of their mouth for a fact that they don't look like they're lying to your customers. They're not even lying to them. They're just inexperienced. They don't know what to do. They haven't told a single lie. They just look like they're lying. And that perception is reality. It's critical that you train your people. I'm the One-Eye Guy, and that's the number one rule of leadership according to me.